Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to Two Dicks and a Mic, news and political commentary while we watch the world burn. Some have said this is the best podcast on the internet. Who are we to argue? Three brothers who share no DNA talk about news and politics. What could go wrong? Tonight on the show, we continue our discussion on gun control. We talk child activists like David Hogg 111, Emma for Change, and Cameron _Kasky. They are the future. Did you know that? Take that for what you will. Oh, and hashtag Resign Sheriff Israel. But why? Dick, Ma'ike. What's going on, fellas?
Hey. Hi.
So enthusiastic. So, last week, if you listened to the show, if you didn't listen to the show, whether or not you listened to the show last week, we discussed gun control. We talked about a lot of different things. It's a pretty good show. You should go back and check it out. I'll make sure that I put the link to it in the notes for this particular show. But we didn't really get through the whole thing, and this is one of those conversations that just never ends, really. We'll be talking about gun control until either everybody has a gun and everybody's happy about it, or nobody has a gun and everybody's happy about it. So we wanted to kind of revisit this. The week has been filled with news about what happened at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. There's been lots of talk about banning all assault weapons. There were some measures that were voted down in Florida. I guess were they voted down or they just not passed? I'm not sure how that works. But point being, folks want their guns. Also, there was a town hall on CNN. We'll delve into that a little bit. It was moderated by Jake Tapper. Marco Rubio was present, as was Dana Lash, representing the NRA. And these student activists were there telling us all how we should think about guns. And one of the gentlemen, Cameron Kasky, I don't know how to pronounce his name. He cornered Marco Rubio and tried to get Rubio. First off, he told Rubio that looking at him, he couldn't look at him without feeling like he was looking down the barrel of an AR-15 at the shooter from the school. These kids are really they're playing cards, and the majority of people are eating it up, and folks are afraid to argue with their points, because if you argue with their points, then you hate children and you want them all to die. Basically, is kind of the message that goes out.
The same kids that were eating Tide Pods 2 weeks ago?
Well, I don't know if these particular kids were eating Tide Pods 2 weeks ago, but it is the same type of kids. There has been talk about lowering the voting age to 16. Have you guys seen any of this?
No.
Ridiculous. There's also been talk about raising the age to purchase a long gun to 21, which perhaps is also ridiculous. The age to purchase a handgun is currently 21, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. But you can buy a rifle or shotgun at 18, as those are primarily used for hunting and handguns are used for self-defense. So I guess the idea there is that if you're 18, then your parents are providing your self-defense. I don't know how that works out. I think there should be one age, whatever that age is. It should be one age for any kind of firearm. But there's been a lot of talk all week and the week prior about various ways that we can improve gun safety, help people who are mentally unstable not get weapons, although that's not been as big a topic as has been just flat out banning what they call quote unquote assault weapons. Now, I looked into assault weapons because I know that that's a term that gets bandied about a lot when people are trying to make things sound scary. And basically the only difference between a hunting rifle and an assault weapon, there are a couple of things. The magazine is removable, but you can have a hunting rifle with a removable magazine. But past that, a couple of the things that qualify something as an assault weapon, if it has that removable magazine and it has a pistol grip and you can fold the stock, then it's an assault weapon. Or if it has, help me out, Mike. What is the thing that around the barrel so that you don't burn your hand? What is that called? The cage type.
Some sort of a muzzle device.
Yeah, some sort of something.
Usually a flash hider.
No. Around the actual barrel so that you don't burn your hand when you're holding the gun.
Oh, that's just a hand guard.
Yeah, so if it has that particular kind of handguard as opposed to the wooden handguard that you would get with a hunting rifle.
And in the case of the AR-15, the stock isn't folding; it's collapsible.
I think that counts with the way they talk about it, though.
Well, no, there's no way to have a folding stock in an AR-15. It would not function.
Okay. Point being, though, the differentiation between a hunting rifle and an assault weapon is
cosmetic.
Strictly cosmetic. Yes, absolutely.
Because they look harmful.
Yeah, well, yeah, it doesn't look like a piece of furniture. It looks like scary military plastic.
So if I paint it pink, is it good?
I have seen some pink ARs. I'm not sure if those are still okay.
I was going to buy my daughter one.
A pink AR?
You should.
A pink R?
A pink R.
Okay, so I feel like I've kind of dominated the first couple of minutes of this talk. So what's up, fellas?
Well, we had up where I live, we had a school shooting threat. I know that there's been multiple school shooting threats since Parkland, Florida. There was a shutdown in our community, and it all started with a simple Facebook. I'm sorry, I don't know that it was Facebook. It was a social media post. It might have been Twitter or Snapchat or whatever the hell it is that kids are using now. And it ended up being a joke. It was two kids that were arguing. One kid had made mention that he thought the other kid looked like a school shooter, and then the other kid tried to confront that kid and tell him to knock it off and stop bullying him. This conversation about school shooter was heard by another kid who proceeded to go home and start to make posts on social media. The mother's monitoring the social media post, sees this kid, her child, talking about two kids at school discussing school shootings, and the next thing you know, 45% of the student population, I believe, is not in school the next day.
Wow. Similar things happened here. And there was one instance, and I don't recall if it was local or if it was something that I read about online. And I try and read a lot of stuff online, so it could have been online. But some kid went around and banged on a classroom door and said "school shooter," and then the teacher came to the door and went out to look in the hallway.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's stupid for one thing, but that kid got in trouble because it was a fake. And kids, a lot of kids, it's the Tide Pod kids is what it is. They're making light of this situation.
Well, that should be the equivalent of yelling a bomb on an airplane. That's wholly wrong.
Well, and to go back to the type of gun, I mean, if you are a purist, there's no such thing as an assault weapon. An assault weapon is they're trying to link it to the old Kalashnikov AK-47s of the 50s and 60s that got some early support in terms of purchasing power here in the United States. The AR-15 really took off in the latter part of the 80s, early 90s, when crack dealers were running around shooting each other.
Wonderful.
Then as the crack dealers were shooting each other, and there was a ban in 94, from 94 to 2004, and after that ban was up, other people started to purchase those weapons or purchase that particular weapon. And then when the ever-increasing threat of banning the AR-15 increases, oddly enough, so do purchases of that weapon. So please, by all means, liberals, keep trying to ban that weapon, and you're going to put more in people's hands.
Yeah.
I don't have any sales figures, but the number of them sold since Obama took office is astro-fucking-nomical. There should be enough of them out there now in the United States to arm everybody.
Enough.
ARs alone.
Huh.
I'm not talking guns. I'm talking strictly ARs. I've heard it referred to as the modern musket. And if that's true,
I've heard that.
It's
They're very fun to shoot. I mean, they're fun to shoot.
Extremely fun to shoot.
They're fun to shoot. They're lightweight. They got very little recoil. Those that have the bump stock on it, which are now legal, but there's attempts to make those. What's the phrase? I guess illegal because they used to be illegal.
Yeah.
Eases the use and actually turns it. Because the concept of an assault weapon is the notion that it is fully automatic, and it's not. There's no domestically purchasable weapon that's fully automatic. However, with AR-15 and the bump stock, the way that it's designed can turn the semi-automatic into a practical automatic without being able to depress the trigger and hold it.
Yeah, near automatic. The way the bump stock operates is it uses the recoil of the gun bouncing against your arm to make you fire another shot.
Right. So it actually helps in the weapon recycling.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, though, I think that you can legally purchase fully automatic weapons, but it's like a year-long process of background checks. And
I checked. Yeah, you might have different information on.
You've got to get the tax stamp. No, you can. You've got to get the tax stamp. You've got to have the. I don't know. Don't quote me on this. The Class 3, I believe it is, license.
I think it's Class 3. Yeah.
And then you either have to find a weapon that's pre-1994 assault weapon ban, or the auto sear would be the case. It's just a part of the trigger group for the AR-15. Pre-1984 or 94 or whatever it was, and the value on those has absolutely skyrocketed to $30,000 or $40,000 just for a piece of metal that's probably worth about $1.50.
Yeah,
because hey, God bless capitalism.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, yeah,
you can't manufacture them anymore, but you can own them if you have the money.
Yeah, you can get them. It's very costly. It's very time consuming, and there's no one who is going to go through that process and legally own that weapon who is going to be the type to go out and use one in this manner.
Probably not.
Also, I heard reference to someone was talking about online. Someone was talking about assault weapons, and they were talking about automatic weapons and weapons that look like automatic weapons.
What?
Yeah. Which basically goes along with the cosmetic issues, which classify one as an assault weapon and one as a hunting rifle.
Yeah.
Fully auto.
I don't know. I think that, everybody looks at guns, and there was a political cartoon in the Detroit Free Press the other day, and the artist depicted somebody saying that guns don't kill people, people kill people. And the artist had his particular characters all like pointing like gun finger at each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're all pointing gun finger at each other, and there's a newspaper in the stand that said gun finger deaths are up 500%. So the tongue in cheek was, no, people don't kill people, guns kill people. However, if I wanted to kill somebody, I could, and I tried hard enough, I could probably do it with the Sunday New York Times.
Yeah.
So, but to answer your question, we have cars. We can buy parts for cars that make them go faster. We can buy parts for cars to make them more dangerous. And yet we don't ban the sale of those parts. And then somebody could say, well, those cars aren't used to kill a lot of people. If I remember correctly, somebody drove a car into a crowd of people, and where was that? That was just recently.
In New York, wasn't it?
New York?
Yeah, in New York, and killed 6 or 7 people. So why is there no discussion about banning automobiles or restricting the front wheels?
Well, because it's not as sexy. I think it's because it's not as sexy a story as guns. Dana Lash. Are you guys familiar with the Dana Lash?
Oh yeah, she's hot.
She is a pretty lady. But she is the spokesperson for the NRA. She was at the town hall meeting, which I'm sure we'll discuss more in a bit. But she was also at CPAC, the Conservative, blah blah blah, whatever action. It was a conference, and
she is hot.
She is. And during this conference, she said something to the effect that the media loves these mass shootings. Not that they love the carnage. Of course, nobody loves the carnage. But the media loves having such a big, sexy story that they can glom onto for a while.
Yeah, I'm sure it makes them money.
Yeah. Okay, so back to we were talking about statistics of people dying. Teen driver cell phone statistics. 11 teens die every day as a result of texting and driving. According to AAA poll, 94% of teen drivers acknowledge the dangers of texting and driving, but 35% admit to doing it anyway, and I bet that number is much higher. So the point being that texting and driving kills way more than any kind of gun. Yeah, and see, Mike just sent us a picture in the chat of Dana Lash, and she's got an AR, and she's looking all hot, and she's got a red dress on. But yeah, hotness aside, she's a mother of boys or girls, I don't know. And back to the dang town hall. This guy, or one of these students, I forget which one it was, but stood up to ask Dana Lash a question, and made reference to the fact that the kid cares more about her kids than she does because she represents the NRA. And of course, everyone is equating the NRA with baby killers now because the NRA is pro Second Amendment, and they have. I don't have the specific things in front of me, but they have blocked a couple of things that a lot of people see as potentially limiting folks' access to weapons. One of the things I think we touched on last time was a gun registry, which, as a knee-jerk, I said I was all on board for, and I'm still kind of on the fence about. But I do realize now that a gun registry lends itself to people being basically doxxed for having guns, you know? So if there's this gun registry and people have access to the gun registry, then, you know, there was some news organization might have been New York State, and they got access to a small gun registry list, and they posted the addresses on a map of all these people who had guns. And that was terrible.
That's like a robber's to-do list.
Yeah, exactly. These folks have guns. When they're not home, I'm going to get the guns. Or these folks have guns, and I hate guns, so I'm going to go, spread crap all over their house or something. I don't know, whatever, activists do.
If you go to, and I had shared this on the link, if you go to the CNN page, they actually have the transcript of that town hall.
Uh-huh.
And it's a very tragic situation. It's awful. I am extremely upset by the fact that the two Florida senators were, number one, allowed to be there, number two, allowed to speak, because it automatically politicized it. Both of these guys are going to stand up and say and placate to their base.
Yeah.
It was automatically a liberal environment, so Rubio never had a shot. Whether Rubio is right or wrong is not the issue. So it wasn't really a town hall so much as a witch hunt.
Yeah.
You have a father who lost his daughter, and I cannot imagine the pain and suffering that this gentleman is going through. His name was Fred Gutenberg. And if you go through and you read the transcript, because I refuse to watch it on CNN, there's a couple instances where he calls the AR-15 a weapon of choice. He calls it a weapon of war, which I don't know that he's ever been in a war or in the military, but they don't use an AR-15.
No, they do not.
They use an M16.
They use an M16. He is wanting an outright ban on assault weapons, but there's no such thing as a frickin' assault weapon. They don't exist.
Correct.
It's like
assault's a verb.
It's like calling stuff Kleenex. It's not Kleenex. It's facial tissue. There is Kleenex, but it's the brand name for facial tissue. There is an assault weapon, but it's called an M16, and only the military is allowed to have it. So if you see somebody walking down the street with an M16 and they're not in a Marine uniform, I would run like hell.
Yes.
So Rubio's up there and he's trying to defend himself because everybody hates him because of his connection with the NRA.
Right.
And then, I'm sorry, I'm going to screw up the senator's name, this Florida senator. Douche? Senator Douche?
Sounds right to me.
That's probably right.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm from Michigan, so I don't know. So Senator Douche is basically just allowed to sit there and placate to a favorable audience. And I understand everybody's pissed. I understand everybody's enraged. But there's other things that need to be focused on instead of the guns. Can we ban fire alarms from schools? Because there's been 7 mass shootings in which over 57 people have died, all triggered by fire alarms, because all schools have a protocol for it's a lockdown drill. All schools do it. So they'll do a lockdown drill, and basically what happens in a lockdown drill is somebody will come on a speaker, say we're in a lockdown, internal threat or external threat. You lock the door, you put your kids in a room where they can't see, and you wait for 45 seconds until an administrator comes by. But here's the problem. None of that applied to this situation. None of that applied to this situation. The intruder was outside. The intruder already knew the protocols going to that school. I am sorry. This is one of the greatest tactical success stories in school shooting history. This kid knew exactly what to do. He pulled the fire alarm to ensure mass chaos.
Yeah.
And so nobody was going to turn around and see a shooter and initiate a lockdown protocol because nobody ever practices that. He waited till everybody got outside and started shooting and then worked his way into the building. Started shooting some more people, then worked his way back outside after he dropped his gun and tried to blend in with the crowd.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons that metal detectors will be or could be somewhat ineffective. Because once you pull the fire alarms, and the kids have to get out of the building.
Yeah.
So you find your way in, you pull a fire alarm, you go back out, you grab your gun, and then you wait.
Now, imagine if you get a couple of these nut jobs to organize, do this, wait till all the kids are outside for the fire drill, then just open fire and haul ass into the woods or down the street or whatever. It could be even worse, and they could get away.
But again, no schools practice that. You have police officers, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, that are getting criticized for not entering the school.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that because
that's all post-Columbine. That's all post-Columbine. One of the problems with Columbine is they didn't want their police officers going in. As many officers wanted to go in to try and stop the carnage because they did not have a tactical assessment of the situation. And so I don't know if these police officers were chicken shit or not. I don't know. That's not for me to say. They're the ones that know that in their heart for what they did or did not do. But again, you have no vehicle by which, if there's a shooter indoors, what do the police do? How is communication established inside the school? Are cameras set up that now have exterior access so you can see what's going on and at least identify the shooters? Nobody does that. You want to know why nobody does that? Because everybody fucking bitches that education is getting too much money, and then shit like this happens and everybody blames guns. No, there's some serious holes in school security. And if I'm a school shooter, if I want to get the mass number of casualties possible, I'm going to a church, I'm going to a school, I'm going to a hospital. It's tactical. It's the area that has the least amount of security.
Yeah.
How many how many mass shootings have you seen at a fucking police station? How many mass shootings have you seen at a military barracks?
Just the one. And
it
was during a time when the military had a gun-free zone policy, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. So now I've also shared with you, and this was just recently updated, February 16th of 2018, and this is a fantastic link. I want you guys to go to this when you have a chance. It's from the Washington Post, and it talks about the terrible numbers that grow with each mass shooting. Okay, and it is a analysis of mass shootings going back to 2012. Okay, and it lists. Here's the other problem. So nobody's talking about why are males engaging in mass killings. There's only been 3 women that have been mass shooters since 2008. Okay. It lists the guns. It lists the numbers of victims. It lists the guns that were used. I see a lot of AR-15. By the way, when it lists this, a lot of these are listed twice. So if the shooter had multiple weapons on them, each weapon is listed on there independently. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so there's a lot of AR-15s. I see a shitload of handguns. I see a ton of handguns. I see a lot of handguns. I see a couple Uzis. Okay,
those are completely illegal, correct?
Those are complete. The Uzis?
Yeah,
they make semi-automatic Uzis.
Oh well, the automatic Uzi is illegal. Yes,
and very hard to find.
It also lists by name the 153 shooters since 2012 and what their motivation is. Now, speaking of motivation, we talked last week about mental illness.
Yeah.
There's been, and I gave another link, and this one absolutely astounds me. So you want me to look up HIPAA, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay. So HIPAA has a whole series of provisions that basically you cannot get any information on anybody, especially as it relates to mental illness. It's even harder with mental illness because of the stigma attached to it, which I'm fine with. Okay. However, on the very bottom, one of the provisions is, can healthcare providers share protected mental health information with law enforcement officials? The answer is yes. In certain circumstances, i.e., trying to apply for a gun, particularly if the person living with mental illness poses a danger to self or others, then healthcare providers may disclose necessary information. So Baker law my ass. All we have to do is initiate some form of policy to get information when anybody diagnosed with a mental disorder or mental health issue tries to apply for a weapon. If they are not deemed as dangerous to themselves or others, then they should be allowed to purchase a weapon. If not, there needs to be a whole series of checks put in place to prevent them from acquiring one.
Yes. No, I agree completely. I think that HIPAA should be opened up so that people with the types of mental illness that could lead to violence, their information is shared when people go for a gun background check. And as I understand it now, and I think the way you just explained it, it is not.
Correct.
And that's asinine.
But that's something that's easily implemented, though.
Yeah, no, they could be fixed. They can be fixed probably with a couple of clicks of a mouse. All right, so you touched on the officers who were on hand in Florida who didn't act. There was a school resource officer who was in a stairwell for the entire shooting lasted 6 minutes, I think, and this SRO was in the stairwell for 4 minutes and didn't engage. So that really burned my butt when I learned that, and I think it burned a lot of people's butts. But there are people who say, well, he only had a handgun up against an AR-15, and that is their reasoning for saying it's okay for him not to have engaged because the AR is a rifle shoots hundreds, thousands of a second faster than a handgun because, of course, most handguns carry a heavier bullet, basically. So you're talking. No, but what it has to do with is blowing up their argument that he only had a handgun versus the AR-15.
To do with anything.
Because I can pull the trigger just as fast on my 9mm as you can pull the trigger on your AR.
That doesn't mean shit. The police officer should be a tactically trained professional, and this is a 19-year-old kid that walks around in his underwear all day. By the way, I saw a lot of photos of him on YouTube and everything like that, walking around in his underwear. People in Florida got to put clothes on.
Amen.
Okay. Point being, there are people who agree with the officers not engaging because of their weapons versus the AR, which is bullshit. It's he should have not come to work. That is his charge, is to be there and protect the kids. He was a deputy. Yeah. It's his job to know that he puts himself in danger. Everyone who puts on the blue uniform or green or whatever color it is for wherever you are, you know that you're doing that, and your life could be in danger, and that is part of the pride of the job, is knowing that what you do helps other people. And this guy apparently just pussied out, and he quit. He retired or resigned or what have you as soon as the news made it out. But then supposedly 3 or 4 more showed up, and they sheltered behind their cars until police from another town showed up, and then those police went in. Ridiculous. I can't imagine it being my one. It's a you had one job thing. All those memes. You built the stairway to nothing. These people built a stairway to nothing when they took the job of being a protective officer.
I mean, the officer inside the school, even if he didn't engage the shooter, if he got anywhere near him and fired 2 rounds into the ceiling,
if the 19-year-old dickhead would have heard a couple of shots, he would have tried to find out where those shots are coming from and not been shooting at the kids for a minute at least. Could have saved a couple of lives, if not multiple.
Yeah. Right. Even if he saved 1 life.
Hey, just so everybody knows, James Holmes, 24, killed 12 people and wounded 70 at a theater in Aurora, Colorado, using a Smith & Wesson semi-automatic rifle, a Remington shotgun, and a Glock 40 caliber semi-automatic pistol.
Okay, no, I didn't know the guy's name.
This was the Aurora, Colorado shooting. That was the Dark Knight premiere. Aaron Alexis, 34, used a Remington shotgun to kill 12 people at the Washington Navy Yard. He used a shotgun, which, by the way, shotguns don't have multiple rounds in them. You've got 4, then you got to reload.
That's not true either. They make a version of the 870 that holds 7. They make a new version of the 870 that takes a magazine and holds 8.
Well, this one holds 4 because it's a long barrel.
Okay. Yeah.
If you're the crazy person, so you want to kill people, it doesn't matter what's in your hand. Yep. But why with a spoon?
This is true. If you're crazy, you can kill a motherfucker with a spoon.
Yeah.
You don't even have to be. You don't even have to be crazy. You just have to have the intent to kill somebody.
What was the church shooting?
So how the hell do you stop that?
Where the fella who stopped the gunman was an NRA member, and he stopped the gunman with his AR. Right. Exactly.
Care. Yeah.
I bet.
Oh, we can't talk about that because it's a success story.
Yeah.
I would wholeheartedly agree. Now, since what year is it? I lost my notes. There's been 235 mass shootings since I think 2009. Is that right? And 22% of them were done by somebody that had a diagnosed mental disorder.
Yeah. But was it okay? So it's diagnosed but hidden by HIPAA. Is that what we're saying?
Diagnosed, correct. No, like for example, I got this is a study, and there's a lot of data in here, so you're gonna have to forgive me. It's a little bit thick.
Yeah.
But you start with what sets everybody off is they always go back to the 1999.
Much more damage than they did.
Eric Harris and Dylan
They had planned to
Klebold,
do more
okay?
damage by blowing up propane containers and having explosions, but that didn't go the way they had planned.
Correct. Right. Now, they were just kind of going down the list, okay? So these are, and I'm not going to go through all of them because there's quite a few. I'm just going to kind of hit a few of them. But here are the diagnosed disorders or the suspected disorders of these perpetrators, going back to the Columbine killings, which is kind of the one, it's the gold standard for why we have these conversations. All right? Psychopath, depressed, paranoid disorder, psychopath, bipolar, antisocial personality disorder, paranoid, 2 psychopaths, postpartum depression. Yep, psychopath. Yep, excuse me, psychopath. Psychopath, depressed, psychopath. She had postpartum psychosis. Yeah, it's pretty shitty. It's really bad. Paranoid, psychopath, depressed. So you don't see schizophrenia on here, as many people are worried about. You see a lot of paranoid. You see a lot of depression. You see a lot of rage and anger issues, a lot of antisocial personality disorder, which, by the way, if you got antisocial personality disorder or you're a psychopath, there's nothing that we can do to you that's going to make you express regret or anything like that. You just don't have it. I see a lot of semi-automatic Glocks. There's a guy with a AK-47, James Holmes. That was Aurora, Colorado. In that previous article, they linked it to an AR-15, but that's not what he had. Paranoid personality disorder, paranoid. This kid had Asperger's syndrome. He used an AK-47. So again, a lot of AK-47s, which are not the AR-15. And I got my data stops at 2015. So a lot of paranoid disorders, a lot of psychopaths,
and that
a lot
link
of
is
antisocial personality disorders, and a lot
notes.
of depression.
Okay, so you can.
Yep. There's a whole. I mean, there's literally a research study. So it was how they put all the things together and tabulated everything. This damn thing goes back to 1913.
Wow.
Nope.
Okay.
1914.
So let's shift gears. Let's go to the NRA. There are a lot of businesses that actually what happened was some of these student activists have been calling out the NRA. A lot of people have, but the student activists, they got Twitter verified really quickly, which is interesting to me because I think it takes a while to get verified on Twitter, but these kids managed to do it in just a matter of days. But some of them, they're being really vocal about the NRA. So as a result, boycott the NRA trended on Twitter for a while. And now there are a lot of businesses have decided that they wanted to sever their ties with the NRA. Whether the businesses were accepting money from the NRA or making donations to the NRA, or whether they just had an association with the NRA where NRA members got a discount on this particular business's services. They're severing those ties. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I think that people can boycott whatever it is they want to boycott. If you think the NRA is reason that people are getting killed, then you're an idiot.
Amen.
If you think that the reason
some of the businesses that are
the AR-15
severing their ties with the
people
NRA
are getting killed, then you're an idiot.
Include Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Alamo Rent-A-Car, National Rent-A-Car, Symantec, Hertz, MetLife, Simply Safe, Avis, Budget Rent-A-Car. A lot of car rental places, I guess, had deals with the NRA. Allied, North American, TrueCar, Delta Airlines, United Airlines, Paramount RX, and Starkly, whatever Starkly is. So I guess nobody cares about Starkly. But more than a dozen businesses have left or severed their ties with the NRA. Just basically because people say, please stop taking money from the NRA, or we'll stop doing business with you. So the NRA has about 5 million members. Of the, 100 million gun owners, something like that in America? I forget the number. That number escapes me. Do you think that people who are not NRA members will boycott these businesses? Do you think it'll have any impact? Do you think that more people will join the NRA as a result of this?
No.
I have personally seen a small number of people on Twitter who said they were not NRA members before, but they decided to join as a result of all the shenanigans happening right now. I'm not a member.
Probably losing.
I am a
lifelong
gun user, but I've never been an NRA member. Are either of you?
No. Their fees are too expensive. I mean, they provide benefits to their members, such as they'll pay legal fees in the case of any justifiable shooting case. They do provide support, but they're also, and like it or don't like it, they're a buffer for like a natural checks and balances system from ultra-liberal groups that think it's the Second Amendment that's destroying this country. And if we get rid of guns and people stop killing each other. And it's just asinine. Please stop being fucking stupid. People did not kill people before guns. Like I said,
you're asking people to think for themselves. Well, I don't think they're capable of this.
I remember one brother that killed another brother with a jawbone's ass.
I remember a short guy who killed a tall guy with a rock.
The jawbone of an ass?
Yeah, lots of sword play around there.
I remember a short guy that killed a tall guy with a rock. Yep.
Yeah, hot oil down walls, arrows. Arrows have killed a lot of people.
Oil at you.
I bet
stuff
arrows
like
have killed more people than guns. Cars are deadly.
Knives,
arrows,
driving.
So, what are we, slugs?
Cars, basically beating the shit out of people with your fists.
Yep, that's big killers. Big killers.
Cigarettes,
tobacco, yeah.
Gun violence is actually
alcohol.
One of us needs to look it up. It is way down the list of top reasons people die.
Here, I'm doing it now.
I am ready.
All right. You ready, kids? Here we go. The top 10 leading causes of death in the U.S. Heart disease, cancer, chronic lower respiratory disease.
Jesus Christ. What a dumbass.
Accidents.
I remember that one.
Like, I don't know, taking a selfie of yourself at the top of a mountain by a cliff and then falling off because you're a fucking dipshit and you deserve to die. Stroke. I've got like 5 of these things.
Wait,
Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, influenza, pneumonia, kidney disease, and suicide.
Huh. So you've only got the top 10, though.
No.
Okay, I'm trying to find.
I have the top. Yes, this is the top 10, and this is from Medical News Today. So nearly 70.
I'm looking for a longer list too.
Nearly 75% of all deaths in the United States are attributed to just 10 causes.
And gender. That should be a good list.
With the top 3 accounting for over 50% of all deaths. Now,
No, it doesn't.
now, please understand, heart disease does not walk into a school and shoot
Tell me
people.
medical malpractice is higher than guns.
It
All
does
right,
not do.
I've got a top 50.
Yeah, hit them.
I am looking. I'm just going to go down them real quick if we don't care. All right, heart disease, Alzheimer's, lung cancer, stroke, lung disease, diabetes, colorectal cancer, hypertension, influenza, kidney cancer, breast cancer, road accidents, lymphomas, pancreatic cancer, suicide, prostate cancer, inflammatory heart, endocrine disorders, liver disease, poisonings, other, leukemia, falls,
Violence.
Number 23, falls, Parkinson's, violence. What the hell is this list? Violence is number 25. Liver cancer, bladder cancer, esophagus cancer, ovary cancer.
Interesting.
I'm just going to keep going until I find something that's actually good. Yeah, it's got everything.
I wonder if
Alcohol
guns falls
is
into the category of violence.
It's separated from drugs.
Along with hammers
guns
and
are nowhere
knives
on here. Fires is 47.
And trucks of peace.
It may. Anemia is 50. Yeah, I've got to find a better list.
You think in Israel, when somebody
do they
walks
talk
into a
about
market
bomber
and
control?
blows himself up, that they talk about chemistry control?
Well, when somebody walks into a place and blows somebody up here, did we talk? Did we
know.
talk about?
They should ban bombings.
Pressure cooker control after the Boston bombing.
No. It's just, and you know what, and I guess to kind of sum up tonight, I feel really bad for the kids. I feel awful for the kids. Schools are supposed to be safe. That's a horrible damn legacy. I mean, imagine your senior year. You're a senior this year at that school. You know, every time you go back to a graduation, a reunion, that's all you're going to think about. That's all you're going to talk about. Your kids go to school, and that's all you're going to think about. That's all you're going to talk about. I mean, it's awful. But they were used like political pawns, and I just.
So, what do you guys make of the kids who
the sheer message of what was supposed to be
who supposedly
got
had
lost.
pro-gun positions, but weren't allowed to speak at the town hall?
Well, one of them was a guy that I think he actually wrote a little bit of a speech and then had his questions. So I can understand that. You know, there's a certain format and time and this, that, and the other thing. So I can understand that. But there was not a single kid or person that was allowed to get up there, because I read the transcript, that was pro-gun. Not a single one. Not a single one.
Yeah. So Cameron Kasky. This guy has been an anti-conservative voice on Twitter, it seems, for a while. Here are a couple of his tweets, supposedly. One says, Rand Paul assaulted again, ... finally some good news. This one says, I think it should be encouraged that we punch alt-right people in the face. It's a miracle I don't punch the average Republican in the first place. I don't know if these are real. Is this kid for real?
I don't. But see, do you see what we're doing? I mean, this is what I'm talking about. The entire purpose is to make schools safer.
Yeah.
That's what the discussion should be. But because these poor kids, and CNN was wrong for doing this, because these poor kids were put in this environment with two senators on a hot button issue, and all they talked about was gun control. Now it's no longer looking at the kids as victims, but as either pawns or perhaps even political players in what is sure to lose the ultimate message.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking back through something. I'm trying to search his Twitter and see if that's real, because I don't know.
And by the way, it's only CNN that are interviewing these kids. Can somebody find out if Parkland, Florida is liberal as hell?
They voted blue.
Oh, well, then there you go.
The sheriff is blue. Folks, we don't know what the answer is. Dick, Mike, what's your answer?
Schools
I don't think there is. Go ahead.
Schools are supposed to be areas of safety. Now, safety can be defined in a variety of ways. If that means the only way to make the school safe is to put the 82nd Wing of the 101st Airborne, then let's do it.
Yeah. I'm in favor of more security at schools, but I'm also in favor of more security, better checks to ensure the people who shouldn't have guns don't have guns. But then it's not like crime is new. It's not like every person who decides to go on a shooting spree gets their guns legally. And those who can't get them legally, if they want to go on a shooting spree, they will get them illegally. So what's that going to solve? Not sure what that's going to do for us, folks.
Murder wasn't invented with the AR-15?
It was. Murder, before that, they called it justifiable killing for no reason.
Justifiable for no reason.
Yes. And then when the AR-15 came along, they started calling it murder. Because, as the rapper once said, murder was the case that they gave me. Folks, I don't know. I don't have the answers. Nobody has the right answers. Dick, Mike. Anything else to add before we wrap it up?
Nope. I'm good.
Yep, nope.
All right, so basically, folks going to hurt. Shooters going to shoot. We don't have an answer. Fortunately, we're not the decision makers. If you like the show, subscribe to the YouTube channel here. Check us out on Twitter at 2DicksandMike. Check us out on Gab, also at 2DicksandMike. Let us know what you think. Give us your opinions. Is there an answer, or is it all just a bunch of shots in the dark, no pun intended? Thanks for listening, folks. Go fuck yourself.